Hello and welcome to the fourth and last part of this cursed vlog series. I'm being a little dramatic, but this thing has been taking me over a year. And the worst part is, this is self-imposed. I did this to myself. Because I saw a really dumb looking picture on Pinterest. Not even a picture. It's presented as a, video kind of thing. It's really confusing. Just black and white, lovely lady, and a very simple list of titles that books that every woman should read. Just titles. So of course my first thing that I had to do was figure out the authors, and this is where the video where this actually comes. How do I want to put this? Where this comes into play. Because one of the titles on this list is The Power of No. It's a really cool title. And at least 3 books that have it. And you know, in retrospect, that list was most definitely made by an American. Because let's be honest, when it comes to self-help books, there is a certain demographic that tends to read it and that tends to write it and be, you know, it's its own thing. And that would be white woman, Christian, middle class, pretty not terribly bad off. I really don't like putting forth stereotypes, but there is a certain truth to this. There is a certain group of people that simply reads a lot of these self-help books, and some of these that these books that I've read so far have been very much like, I mean, you can basically just picture the people. Which sounds bad, but yeah, speaking of The Power of No, 3 titles. So I am Icelandic, I live in Iceland. If I remember correctly, I got all these books through Amazon. These days I usually use Amazon UK because they ship to Iceland and are very quick. Amazon in the United States or America is really slow. Like something that should take only about a week can take somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks. Which really reminds me of how it was a few years ago when you were shopping from China. So, yeah, through Amazon UK, I got quite a few books, and then I checked the US, and I realized that I probably made a mistake with The Power of No. So I have 2 of them, one by a British author, another by American, and we'll see which. I think it's American one that they meant. But this is a problem with a list like this. When you don't list the author's names, what book are you meaning? Like, what are we talking about here? But yeah, this is my last video. I really want to get this finished and done. But this is my reading list, my pile. I've got Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow. This might help because my thinking is not always, my thinker isn't always ticking. Then we got Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit, Why We Do What We Do and How to Change, which might be similar to Atomic Habits, which I have actually read before and I quite like. Then we got Grandmaster Kevin Horsley, Unlimited Memory, How to Use Advanced Learning Strategies to Learn Faster, Remember More, and Be More Productive. I've been hesitating about this because Grandmaster. Who's checking that? Who's checking that? Then we got Brian Tracy. Now he's already been on this reading pile of mine. I do remember he also wrote Eat That Frog, and I like that one because it's really short and to the point. This is The Power of Self-Discipline, No Excuses, with I am a master at making excuses, so we'll see. And then we come to The Power of No. I'm going to start with the British one. Beth Wareham's The Power of No, Take Your Life Back with a 2-letter word. I got the feeling that this one might be funny. So I might save it until last because I might need to have a little giggle. And then we got 2 authors. James Altucher and Claudia Azula Altucher. Presumably Americable. And it's The Power of No because one little word can bring health, abundance, and happiness. And there we go. Health, abundance, and happiness. That kinda... I mean, if there's a red flag, that is a red flag. Grandmaster is one flag. Health, abundance, and... Health, abundance, and happiness is another one. Every time, they mention making money, being happy, this, that. I, on the whole, do not like self-help books. I have an extreme distrust of them because everyone can write them. And not everyone should be writing self-help books or anything where people who are looking for help, how can I put this politely? Some people should be no. Some people should just be no. But yeah, so this is my it's the last of the challenge. These six. And when I'm done with this, honestly, I think most of these are gonna end up not in my library. There's a handful that I'm definitely gonna be keeping. At least one of them that's going not even to another person. At least one of them is going to the recycling bin. At least one. And we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'll see you when I start reading. Hello again. It's been a little while since I filmed the intro and I've actually finished one book. Of course, it's the shortest one. Grandmaster Kevin Horsley's Unlimited Memory. And I can tell you now that he has a right to the Grandmaster title. It was actually given to him by the Brain Trust something. I love the fact that I've just read a book about improving your memory and I cannot remember the interesting point that the title of International Grandmaster of Memory by the Brain Trust, the official charity of the World Memory Sports Council. The title was presented and jointly sanctioned by His Serene Highness Prince Philip of Liechtenstein on October 26, 1995 at Hanbury Manor in Ware, Hertfordshire, England. So it was literally given to him by the Prince of Liechtenstein, so you can't get grander than that. I'm not mad at this book. It's useful. And that's basically the best praise that you can give a book that is focused on self-help. Like, this is literally about helping yourself. Like, the only thing is, two things. I have to beg your pardon, but I'm filming this after a long day at work and my brain is a little bit fried, but let's soldier on. So the only time that he talks about himself is literally in the prologue or the introduction, and he does make a lot of quotes, like he's quoting a lot of other people, but like that's the only thing. And the other thing is that what I really like about this is that he reiterates that working on your memory is work and you have to work on it. Like, this little grey goo is a muscle that you need to exercise, just like you exercise your other muscles or your tongue when you're talking a little bit too much. It's work. So like I mentioned, this series has been well over a year in the making, and I do remember that I decided on each and every book that I was going to read in every video more than a year ago. By some stroke of genius, I had both books on memory together. This one and the next one is Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow. The only thing is that the lettering here is so tiny, and as of filming this, it's the last week of November. I live in Iceland, in a fjord, and we don't actually get sunlight where I am. We get daylight for a few hours during the darkest time of the year, but we don't get direct sunlight for, well, hopefully only about like maybe 2 months, maybe, if we're lucky. So reading books with tiny lettering is it's gonna be interesting. And also it's about memory, and I'm like, no, I don't have a lot of faith in myself. This is gonna take me a while, so I will need to read this and something else in between. Now the other 2 sets, because I have 6 books to read in this vlog, I have the 2 books on the power of no, and one of which, like, I'm pretty certain this is a book that the list meant. This one, I mean, it's more like a fun. I kind of want to read these last, but at the same time, like, I have a conundrum. I have a reading conundrum because I'm actually excited about these next 5 books. Like the Thinking Fast and Slow, it's just, the lettering is so small, and it's like, it's a beefy book, so it's gonna take me a while. But like, there's also Brian Tracy's No Excuses that I definitely need right now. Definitely. And then there's Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit, which is based on actual scientific research. And now I'm like, what do I pick first? Because I need this one. I need that kick in the rear. The Power of Habit, yes. One of my favorite self-help books is actually Atomic Habits, because it's literally helpful. Like, it helps. What I love about this, because now I'm getting actually positive, is that these aren't books that, well, so far, they haven't been books where people are like, here's me, about me, and droplet of something that might be helpful. These feel more like workbooks. Like this. This is work. This is gonna be a heck of a lot of work, but it's work. So I'm actually feeling a lot more positive about this last part of this series than I was when I filmed. But my stance still remains. I do not approve of the vast majority of self-help books. Like, right now I feel like I need to draw a line between self-help books, like the cliche, and then actually helpful books, like help books. There's a lot of genres here, and now I need to figure out which book to read next. Like, do I end on the Power of No books, or do I end on the interesting scientific-based books? What I'm going to do is read this one slowly, because this is a chunker. I think I'm going to be co-reading these ones along, because, I mean, they're not thick themselves. This one looks like it's funny, and this one, we'll see about this one, but hello! So I've finished reading The Power No by James Altucher and Claudia Azula Altucher. Tuchel? I still have no idea how to pronounce this. Don't care, honestly. Basically, my philosophy when it comes to pronunciations of words in languages, or names that belong to languages, which I do not speak, I take aim, I fire, and I move on. Because honestly, my chances of ever pronouncing something correctly, shot from a gate. Absolutely shot from a gate. I mean, honestly, taking a bit of a tangent, that might be the Aperol cocktail speaking. If you are not Icelandic, which chances are pretty good that you're not, and you are concerned about pronouncing Icelandic words, the worst thing that's going to happen is that some people are going to laugh at you. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. Chances of you mispronouncing things so terribly that it starts to mean something else, pretty slim. Very slim. I don't mind this book. And And this is kind of like, so far I finished reading 2 of the 6 books that I've planned for this part of the series. And it's reinforcing my belief that I left the best books for last. Because it's not that bad. It's not that terrible. It's written by a couple who have been separately and together through quite a bit. This book came out in 2014, so this book is 10 years old. And at that time, the husband, James, had already established and sold on and passed on like 20 businesses. It's a thing he explains in the book. They've both been through the ringer, basically. So self-help books, in my experience, they do tend to be on the very high on the cringe meter. Like, you're reading and you're going, not much in this book. And when I think about it, there's a YouTuber whose name is Emily Fox. And honestly, she's the only YouTuber that I've really watched who has this same feeling towards self-help books. That is, they tend to be cringe. You tend to go, This does have a few cringe moments, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not that bad, and it's actually helpful. And honestly, that's the thing that a self-help book can be, is being helpful. And I feel like this book is actually helpful. With a grain of salt, obviously, like all books, no matter what. You need to take them with a grain of salt, and in some cases a big chunk of salt. So I'm giving this book 4 stars because it's actually helpful. Like, I'm actually going to keep this one because, first off, I haven't done any of the exercises, and maybe some of them might be helpful. And I really, really, really want to get started on the next The Power of No book. This one by Beth Wareham. Because not only is it short, I feel like it's humorous. Like, I get the feeling that it's going to be funny. And I really feel in the mood for something funny. I'm going to be starting on the second Power of No book. And we'll see what the comparison is actually going to be. Still happy that I couldn't buy the third one. And of course, as I'm editing, I'm realizing that I have, yet again, managed to delete the footage that I had originally filmed weeks ago talking about this book. So, not the first time, probably not the last time either. So, And I do remember, I really, really like this book because it's funny. It is written in a way that just, it's written in with this voice that just works for me. Also, I was so convinced that the author was British. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the name. I don't know. But I'm pretty certain that this is wholly American. So, previous statements redacted. But this one, again, like basically all the other books in this part of this series, I like this one. It's not like, it isn't outstanding, it isn't revolutionary, it doesn't like completely turn my life around or anything like that, but I like it. I can recommend this book, and that is the biggest thing that I can hope for when it comes to self-help books, honestly. And this one is actionable. Like, she gives literal advice on how to do things, like how to say no, how to work your way up to saying no, just allowing yourself to say no for your own good. And again, now it's been a few weeks since I read this book, and I'm gonna be honest, I really don't remember much of what I read. It's probably gonna be a theme when I finish the series for good. Planning that video. But I like this one. I can recommend it. I don't have a lot to say about it though, because the title speaks for itself. It is literally about how to say no. A lot of very strange situations, like, I mean, there are illustrations as well, so, you know. This one is, yeah, on dating and how to say no. I mean, the examples are sometimes a bit strange, to be honest, but at least I had fun reading this book, and yeah, until next. Hey, so of course, when it's time for the final update, I am sick. But I'm gonna get this done, because I finally read the 2 last books. That was Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, which I will admit I end up skim reading because this book is dense. There is so much in this book. I'm like, I need to reread this when I'm not trying to make a video. But yet again, I literally started because I saw a stupid picture on Pinterest. I am never gonna let myself live that down. This is Thinking Fast Slow. This is such a good book. It really does read like study. This is studying memory, thinking, choices, so many things. And ironically, well, my excuse right now is that I'm sick, so I cannot quite remember exactly what this book told me, but it told me a lot. This is really business centric, so, and I'm not really into that, but I still feel like this is a book that I can actually recommend, which I feel that this last part of this stupid series of mine, this one is probably the best selection of books. So, got this one done. I'm gonna keep this one and read it again. I also just finished reading Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit, Why We Do What We Do and How to Change, and I really like this book. Some of the other books that I have read in this stack, or previous stacks, I feel like I mentioned it, is that they make examples or bring up examples of people and their experiences. And in some of those books it's been cringe, basically. Not very believable and just kind of leaves bad taste on the brain. I'm not gonna say on the tongue, but on the brain. This one does also bring up experiences, but I feel the difference with this book is that the author, Duhigg, he isn't inserting himself into the narrative of those people. He isn't bringing attention to himself and what he's talking about and what he's selling, because he isn't actually selling you things. That's kind of the difference. Like with some of the other books, they are selling lifestyle, they're selling courses, they're selling, yeah. This one is basically just, like he says in Afterword, and I loved that. He basically used making this book in order to teach himself better habits. And I'm like, that's kind of clever, actually. Also, this book was really easy to read. Like, mind you, I was reading this while I'm not as bad as I was today. I should probably not be filming this today, but I'm gonna do that. But like, I had a bit of a fever while reading this, and I'm still like, I could focus on this, and I'm like, it's not that many books that you can focus on when, like, non-fiction, when you're not feeling your best. But I really can recommend this book, and I'm so happy about that, because that's kind of been the other thing about these books. Like, can I recommend them? And honestly, with all these 6 books, yes, I can recommend all these 6 books. Not one of them disappointed me. We got the 2 copies of The Power of No, which I'm pretty certain that the Altucher couple, I'm fairly certain that that stupid picture, because you can't really call that infographic either, because again, that stupid picture didn't have any authors, just add the titles of the books. Pretty certain it was intending this book. It also got Beth Wareham's The Power of No, and honestly I like both of these, as far as I remember. I do recall I like both books. Different reasons, basically. I feel like this one is kind of funny, and this one, still, I can recommend. Fantastic. Then there were the 2 books on memory. Grandmaster Kevin Horsley, which still on the line about using titles, but in his case he actually earned it, so who am I to tell him not to use it? And then we got Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow. I could recommend both of them. Like, just wish that I could. I mean, obviously I'm gonna need to reread these books because my memory is definitely not the absolute best, so. And then the last two, we got Brian Tracy's The Power of Self-Discipline, No Excuses, that I need to read again. And then Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit, that, again, I can also recommend these books. So this stack makes me happy. Like, it's definitely taken me way longer to read. I've been happy with these books. So I definitely feel, again, like I left the best 6, left them for last. So I'm done. I finished what I set out to do. But is there a conclusion to this one? I like these 6. I definitely appreciate them. I can definitely reread them. They make me giggle, they make me think, they were actually helpful. And like I said, I can recommend all of them. And that makes me so happy, because when you can recommend a book, even if it's self-help book, because I'm still on the fence about self-help books, they're not all good. And I've definitely seen that throughout this series. And I will go through that further in the last part. So that will be later. I'm not going to do that until I'm feeling better. And then I will be going over what I feel that I learned from making this stupid series, what I learned from the books, and what will happen to the copies of the books that I purchased, because at least one of them is going into a recycling bin. It might even become a DIY project. But in any case, I'll hopefully see you then, and we'll see where we're at then, okay? And if you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of them, because honestly I feel like I read this one last, but it's kind of sitting with me. But this one too, and the Brian Tracy one. Like, honestly though, I really loved Eat the Frog by Brian Tracy. It's short and sweet. But yeah, if you read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of them, what you gained from them, did you learn anything from them? I'm gonna go take some painkillers and go rest my voice. So I will hopefully see you in the 5th and final part, when I get this thing properly out of my head. And until then, take care. Okay, bless.